Yo, what is up, guys? Today we're talking about the fight between Jimmy Flick and Cody Durden at UFC Fight Night Thompson vs. Neal. This fight is a flyweight fight. We have Jimmy Flick, who is currently 15-5, coming off of 3 straight wins, one coming against Jesse Bazzi by submission around 9.5 months ago, one inside the LFA for the LFA Flyweight Championship against Greg Fisher, which he ended up winning that fight by arm triangle choke submission in the very first round, got on a Dana White's Contender Series, and ended up fighting an undefeated prospect in Nate Smith, who was 6-0 at the time of their encounter. And Jimmy Flick absolutely dominated that fight for a 30-27 unanimous decision. Just kidding. I mean, he went for submission after submission after submission. Probably went for 10, maybe even 12 submissions in that fight. Absolutely insane. But at the end of that third round, he finally latched onto a submission onto Nate Smith with a arm triangle choke submission with literally 1 minute 15 seconds left in that third round. That fight was around 3.5 months ago on Dana White's Contender Series. Since then, the UFC has been like, alright, we'll give this guy a contract, and in his first fight inside the UFC, it's going to be against Cody Durden, whose only fight inside the UFC so far has been a draw against Chris Gutierrez. Cody Durden, that draw against Chris Gutierrez was around 4.5 months ago, and it was a unanimous decision draw, because he ended up getting a 10-8 round in the first round, and then lost the second and the third round to Chris Gutierrez. Before that draw against Chris Gutierrez inside the UFC, outside the UFC, he got an armbar submission win, a knockout win, another submission win, and then another knockout win, getting him that shot inside the UFC. But Cody Durden is the underdog in this fight at plus 130 as the slight underdog to win this fight. He's 11-2-1. He's the 91st best bantamweight fighter in the world, 29 years old. He's 5'7" tall and has a reach of 67 inches. Jimmy Flick is 15-5, the minus 155 slight favorite to win this fight. Currently 30 and almost a half years old. So age obviously won't be playing a factor in this fight. He's 5'6" tall, which is 1 inch smaller than Cody Durden, which gives a small height advantage for Cody Durden in this fight, but he makes up for it as he has a humongous reach advantage, especially for the flyweight division, as his reach is 70.5 inches compared to Cody Durden's 67 inches. That is a 3.5 inch reach advantage. Absolutely insane. And as I said at the beginning of the video, Jimmy Flick is a minus 155 slight favorite to win the fight. Cody Durden plus 130 slight underdog to win the fight. But if you look at those Tapology predictions, it is way more spread out. Out of 930 votes, 78% of the vote are going for Jimmy Flick to win the fight, mainly by submission. And then obviously some people do think he's going to win the fight by decision. 22% of the vote are going for Cody Durden to win the fight, mainly by decision. And then obviously there are some people going for Cody Durden to get the win by knockout in the first or second round. In my opinion, the way that Jimmy Flick is going to win the fight is either to dominate the fight on the ground and get a 30-27 or 30-26 unanimous decision from absolutely dominating the fight on the ground, or going out there in the first or second round and getting a submission. Cody Durden's way of victory is going to be a little bit different. In that first round, he's obviously going to be trying to get a knockout to prevent any extra time of Jimmy Flick to have him on the ground. So he's going to be going out there and try to get a knockout in the first round. That is possibility 1 for Cody Durden to win the fight. Also, he could just have very good takedown defense in this fight and keep the fight on the feet, where he most likely will have the advantage, and he could just do that and ride it out to a unanimous decision. That's just the thing, though. If you look at Jimmy Flick's record, I mean, his submission skills, his grappling, his wrestling is absolutely insane. He's 15-5. I believe he started his career back in 2010 with 3 straight wins by unanimous decision, a second round Von Flue choke submission, a first round arm triangle choke submission, another first round arm triangle choke submission, and lost his next fight by second round knockout inside of Legacy FC. Came back after that, after a 2-year layoff from MMA, with a nice win over Sean O'Grady. Lost his next fight to Tim Sosa. Came back with a first round submission win over Tavares Collins. Lost his next fight to Levy Moles inside of Legacy FC by second round TKO. Went to an Extreme Fight Night and got a first round submission over Benjamin Vasquez. Went back to the LFA where he got a third round guillotine choke submission win at LFA 16 in a main event against Johnny Bedford. Won the fight by third round guillotine choke submission, but lost his next fight to Chris Gutierrez, who I just mentioned that Cody Durden got a draw to inside the UFC. So, but I mean, Jimmy Flick ended up losing that fight by third round knockout. Came back after that loss to Chris Gutierrez with a second round shoulder choke submission win over Jamison Sadino, and a second round arm triangle choke submission win over CJ Hamilton inside of the LFA. Lost his next fight to Ray Rodriguez by second round knockout, and then since then has looked really good with a first round submission win over Jesse Bazzi. Went back to the LFA, fought for the flyweight championship, and won the fight by first round arm triangle choke submission in literally just 38 seconds into that first round, and just 2 months later got a shot on Dana White's Contender Series, obviously against Nate Smith, and he got a third round arm triangle choke submission, and then he was supposed to fight Cody Durden on December 5th on that Hermanson versus Vettori fight card, but Cody Durden did have to pull out of the fight. I'm not really sure why, but now they will be fighting on this new UFC fight card, which is absolutely stacked. And if you look at Cody Durden's record, 11-2-1, it is a very, very good record for the flyweight and bantamweight division. He actually started his career back in 2016 with a first round knockout, first round rear naked choke submission, a unanimous decision, a first round guillotine choke submission, lost his next 2 fights by unanimous decision, and second round rear naked choke submission. And since those 2 losses, he has yet to lose again, as he came back with a first round knockout, a third round armbar, had a couple boxing and kickboxing bouts, which he all won by unanimous decision, got a first round TKO win, a first round armbar submission win, a second round knockout, a first round rear naked choke submission win over Veron Webb, another first round knockout over John Sweeney, and then finally got that shot inside the UFC just a month after he got that win over John Sweeney by first round knockout, finally inside the UFC. But in the fight against Chris Gutierrez, he looked good from the gate, as in the first round he absolutely dominated it. I'm getting a 10-8 round in that first round, absolutely dominating Chris Gutierrez. But in the second and third round, Chris Gutierrez came back as Cody Durden had just gassed himself out. He had no energy to fight Chris Gutierrez from then on. So I mean, Chris Gutierrez won the second and the third round, making it a majority draw. Alright guys, so I'm going to tell you guys right now, this fight is not going to be close. If Cody Durden is winning the fight in the first round, he's probably going to be winning the fight in the second and third round. After we see what happens in the first, that's going to dictate what happens in the whole fight, because if Jimmy Flick can get you down in the first round, he will tire you out so much, and we saw Cody Durden really got tired out in his last fight against Chris Gutierrez, so we know if Jimmy Flick can get him to the ground in that first round, that'll be a done deal. Jimmy Flick's going to win the fight from then on, but if Cody Durden can keep the fight on the feet for that first round, and then tire Jimmy Flick out on the feet, then I would say Cody Durden would win the fight from then on, but we don't really know what's going to happen. In my opinion, I do think Jimmy Flick's going to go out there from the first second that fight starts, maybe do like 3 strikes, and then shoot him for a takedown, and he's going to spend the rest of the round going for takedown after takedown after takedown. I think that probably Jimmy Flick is going to get a takedown probably in the middle of that third round, get Cody Durden to the ground and tire him out, and then in the second and third round, he's going to be too tired to really make a comeback, and that's why I have Jimmy Flick dominating the fight, 30-27 on all 3 judges' scorecards. It's very, very possible he gets a submission in this one, but I have the fight going all the way, and I have Jimmy Flick winning the fight by unanimous decision. Alright guys, if you agree with that prediction, or maybe you guys disagree with that prediction, this is a very, very close fight on the betting odds, so a lot of you might actually disagree with this prediction. Minus 155 for Jimmy Flick, plus 130 as a slight underdog for Cody Durden. It's going to be a very, very interesting fight to see. Both of these guys are trying to get their first win inside the UFC. Should be an amazing, amazing fight. But yeah, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Turn on those post notifications so you guys don't miss when I post a new video. That would be amazing if you did that. But yeah, that's it for the video. Make sure to subscribe, like the video. I'm out of here.